you have to, well, I always start with a story. And I know it's going to be good if I tell a story that's supposed to be funny and people actually laugh. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I mean, it's like comedy, either, the comic either hits, people laugh at what, or they say, I'm dying out here because no one's laughing at your funny stories. So it happens in conferences. Um, you know, I, like, for example, I gave my lecture that I gave last week. Um, I didn't have a funny story to start with, but I looked at there were like 150 people all over the world in the Zoom conference. And I looked at them and I said, I started to say, and they're all anthropologists, postgraduates. I said, why do anthropology? Why spend all this time studying, thinking, reading, doing fieldwork in trying circumstances, and then writing up stuff that very few people are going to read? Why do that, right? So that's an interesting question. I had my audience. That was cake after that. It was, I couldn't see their faces, but when I've given that, but you just, why, no one asked that question, right? Why, what are we doing? What's our purpose, right? Then I could get into my, to talk about indigenous wisdom, et cetera, and talk about those kinds of things, and that, we're the custodians of knowledge. So I always start with some kind of arresting, sometimes a story, sometimes a question like that. And I don't use a whole lot of slides either when I give a keynote lecture. So this one that I gave last week, I used 3 or 4 slides, and I got so into it, I forgot to show 2 of the slides. Because I just started talking, and I forgot to. On the shared screen, it's kind of weird anyway. But ultimately it didn't matter really. And if you have all these PowerPoint slides, people divide their attention between the visual and the oral. And they don't, if you're telling a good story, people are going to pay attention to your story. You'll connect with them.